Morning, folks. This soap is going to be a little bit different. This is I had just a little bit of Wilkinson Sword soap in this particular container, and I added what was left of my pre-shaved cube from Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements. It was the holiday version, and a sample of Soap Commander. I didn't add any coconut oil to it, and so it stayed, how can you say, somewhat on the solid side of things. In other words, not a croap or anything like that. It's a fairly solid soap in there, and I warmed it up just enough, to so I could mix all the ingredients together. And so the soap ended up, of course, like I showed you, it's a pretty hard soap. And I did get it whipped up here in my bowl here, smooth bottom bowl. You kind of see how it worked out. It is the scent stayed pretty much like it was, in the container before I started anything, but it has, it takes water, how can you say, rather well. It does a great job with water. So in other words, if you're like to add a lot of water to your shaving soap or cream or whatever, this does a fantastic job with how I work all the pieces of soap, if you will, together, and it still retains its scent, which is, I guess you might say, refer to it as clean, pleasant type scent. It whipped up pretty good. I think if I was looking, I guess you might say, back at it with my limited experience of tinkering with these sort of things, I think I would, if I was looking for a croap, I would probably add the coconut oil. I'm looking over there because that's where I've got it at. I probably would have added the coconut oil to make it a softer soap, but it worked out pretty well. Excuse me. Also going to follow up the shave today with Lucky Tiger. This one here, this scent is a very, how can you say, calming type scent. If you think lavender is a scent that is calming to you, it doesn't have lavender in it, but is a calming type scent. It's pretty nice. I got a link down below if you want to check it out. Also, this is 8 fluid ounces, so yeah, the container is that big, and it's got a wee bit missing out of it. I'll show you more about the restrictor a little bit later. I want to put a hot towel to the face and pre-shave oil. We decided to go ahead and go with the Maggard since I had it out. This one here flavored is sweet orange. As it goes for the scent per my nose, yes, I do smell it when I first put it on, but shortly thereafter, my nose doesn't pick it up. So it's not a scent, in other words, that I feel like would interfere with the overall shave or anything quite like that. Shavette of the day. This one here is probably a little bit less traveled one. As goes for how to pronounce it, I've got a link down below also if you want to interested in checking it out. Antiga is I just shorten it up because I think it's Antiga Barbearia, and I can't pronounce the rest of it anyhow, even if I did pronounce the first part correctly. Anyway, the scales are wooden. You'll see this particular model, I guess you might say, with the brown scales, and also you'll see with black, and then this part up here, the shank, if you will end up being gold. That one there will cost you a bit more for that version, but this one here, it depends on where you buy it. Like I say, I've got a link down below. This particular kind of shaver, I don't see it go on sale very often, so if you're waiting for a bargain, it might be, $2, $3 cheaper, one location or another. It might depend more on shipping if you're buying a number of items as opposed to just one item by itself. Now, how this one here is set up, it does have the clip up here at top, but it does not. The clip is not necessarily attached to the shank itself, so the clip just comes completely off. And it may be kind of hard to see right there. I got a Feather Artist Club super blade in there, and it runs full length. This particular Shavette is designed to take DE blade snapped in half, but me tinkering with things like I do, it kind of fits in with the rest of the shave, doesn't it? I'm able to fit a Feather Artist Club blade in there, and if you want to, a mini hair shaper blade or an injector blade will also fit in there. And how this works for me is that there are 2 bumps, in other words, posts inside, and I just back this blade up right up to those posts, and then I put the clip on there. That's how I do it. Like I say, it's designed for a DE blade snapped in half or already pre-cut, and it does pretty good job holding it in there. So this is what I've been using with this particular shaver here. It is, to me, the Shavette itself, it's pretty, how can you say, this has not loosened up over time, at least not for me. Now, if you use it on a daily basis, perhaps, maybe it might, but it seems to be pretty snug, so that's, I guess you might say, a good point for this particular kind of Shavette, because there's not any way to really, in other words, just, you can't tighten up screws or anything quite like that, but it seems to be working out pretty well. I've got a damp towel over here. The hot towel I used, it's damp now, off over here to the side, that I'm going to be wiping my lather off on, help keep my sink water a little clean. It's just something that I do. Some folks, in other words, have an aversion with straight razors and other razors, keeping water away from the pivot point, that pin, so it doesn't rust out on you. Just something that I do. It's just a thing for me. It helps keep my sink water clean, and not only that, just easy wiping it off down on the towel there. All right, we're going to see how this soap works out today. If anything is, if there's anything that's probably going on in your part of the world is going on in my part of the world, the weather is strange around here. Not only has it been up in the 70s, we're looking at weather. In other words, you can kind of see there's some chunks in there that I tried to get rid of, but was unsuccessful. But we got weather coming up here pretty soon where the lows are down in the teens, below freezing, in other words. It is interesting what weather does, and what reason why I mention it from time to time. It does affect my head. Wake up in the mornings with blinding headaches because of drastic weather changes. But we got rain coming through, but it's just to the north of us. So in other words, we're not getting any rain at my house, but I mean, not that far from the house, they're getting rain. I guess you might say we just missed that cutoff point, at least so far. We'll see how the rest of the day goes. All right, here we go. Feather Artist Club blade, super. Not the professional, but the super. In other words, this is probably, as it goes for aggressive grip blades, this is probably the most aggressive. It's the one that works well for me. The professional, I've tried several times. That blade just doesn't, how you say, doesn't quite work well for me. But it also mentions that this particular blade is designed for heavy beards, so it's probably the reason why it works well for me. I do like this blade, Feather Artist Club blade in this particular Shavette. That is one of those things for me and it's probably more of a personal thing. You'll notice that blade, it runs full length of that right there. If you use a DE blade, it's only going to cover part of it. And then you've got this other portion here that has a tendency to remove the shaving cream before the blade has a chance to get there. It's just one of those things that kind of bugs me. So I prefer to have a blade that covers full length. It's just my thing. For other folks, it may not matter. I have to say though, this is working out pretty well. I was kind of concerned how this soap was going to work out. Just enough slickness for a Shavette shave, or maybe even a straight razor shave. They both need to have the requirements of a certain amount of slickness. It's working out rather well, so I'm quite happy with that. Also, as it goes for smoothness, yes, very smooth so far. Against the grain, of course, is always the real test, isn't it? Mentioning that sort of thing on the against the grain, I got that spot in the previous video. Notice here, it's right about there. I think I'm going to be okay with the grain pass, but on the against the grain, I'm not too sure. Kind of thinking I might just go with the grain again right over there. I haven't quite decided. Depends on how it feels when I go across it with the grain. We'll have to say that that spot, it really did when I went across it yesterday. Felt like I cut myself, but can't find any evidence of it. But it sure did not feel very good. And it wasn't like I was using a real aggressive razor to begin with. It is just kind of an odd thing. It was mentioned about maybe I got a lymph node that's acting up over there, and that could be the case. Yeah, there's something going on underneath that's not very happy. It's not sore to touch or anything like that. In other words, when I rub my hand across there, I don't really notice it. But when you rub a blade across it, it is angry when it's going across the grain or against the grain. So far, the soap's working out pretty well. I say, if you're interested in tinkering around with soap and whatnot, but if you're looking at making a hard soap into a softer soap, for me, using coconut oil, you'll have to tinker with your formula on how much you want to add. And I think the coconut oil is what I used last time that really seemed to make the difference. Make it a crope. And it's a, how can you say, a long-lasting crope. There's some more chunks right there. Seemed like no matter. I was thinking about switching brushes. I was thinking about going to a boar brush that has a tendency to make short work of chunks of soap. But this was, I mean, it's a pretty solid soap. It took quite a bit of effort just to press it down into the bowl. It's pretty hard, which is kind of surprising. I mean, I know the chunk I had in there was a pretty firm chunk of soap, but it I thought it might soften up a little bit with what I was adding to it, but nope, not so much. All right, we're going with the against grain pass. It's kind of surprising in a way how smooth this blade is working out with the soap. In other words, I think the combination is working out pretty well. You can kind of see right there, I'm using the heel to go right around the facial hair, and that's one of the reasons why for me it's pretty important to have it have the blade go full length, so that way it's easy for me when I'm outlining my facial hair. This is probably the reason why I'm kind of picky about the blade length. It does make it easier to do a lineup. I'm not super picky about how good the lineup is as long as it's relatively close, but that's just me. For others, I know it's probably a little bit more of an important factor. Went pretty good. I was kind of concerned. Thought maybe I might be trying to go just a little too far with it, but so far, right through there, it seemed to work out all right. Right there it is. It's just a little bit of stinging right there. I have to say this went a lot better than what I was expecting. This shave is really smooth. Usually with this particular blade, there's a little bit of edginess to it. I'm not really picking that up today. So I think the combination in between the pre-shave oil and this soap, it worked out rather well. I guess you might say there was enough cushion uh, that worked well with this blade. Kind of surprising, considering I'm the one that whipped it up. Yeah, when I warmed it up in the microwave, I did just enough to get it to be a liquid, but it firmed up so fast that it ended up being, how can you say, like little pebbles, if you will. And in the past, when I've had not olive oil, but coconut oil, it made it easier to, as you might say, it didn't firm up quite as quick. It took a good moment before it finally firmed up. And this one here firmed up really quick. So getting it to get that, smooth look to it, I guess you might say, I just couldn't get it to do it because it was, shoot, I mean, quick moments right after it got done whipping it all together, and it just turned into little chunks of soap. But I'm not a master soap maker, so there is that. Very smooth, boy, the hally, that went really well. See what the alum block has to say. Don't think it's going to have anything to report back on. Like, in other words, I got a little bit of steam right there, but right there's where that spot's at. I was thinking about going a day without shaving to see if that makes a difference. I was kind of thinking, I don't think it will make a difference. Because when I look at it close enough on the mirror, it's not red, it doesn't look irritated, there's nothing there to indicate that there's something going on. Just kind of weird how that happens from time to time. Humphreys. Yeah, not using black ice today. Yeah, I think black ice is probably about as close as a person's going to get to obsidian nowadays. I don't know if they're going to make any more obsidian. And if they made it this past season, I must have really missed it. I thought I was paying close enough attention to see if they made any more of it. Because that scent is it's a kind of a love-hate thing. Some people either love it, some hate it. I really do like it. I think it's a pretty neat scent for my nose. It works well for, I know, others. I left the bowl in here with the lather in it, so my daughter was commenting about how how the scent, the smell of the bathroom. But it's, that's a good thing, in my opinion, to have a nice smell. This is the restrictor in the Lucky Tiger Aftershave Face Tonic. It's very tiny, very small. So in other words, not a whole lot's going to come out at one time. For those that don't like it gushing out at one time. But this is a very calming aftershave. Has just a touch of a citrus smell per my nose. It does smell, I do like the scent, but it's not a strong scent. It's right there in the middle. It's present, but it's not overwhelming. Kind of goes with the calming effect. This smells pretty good. Yeah, I like this. It's glad I picked this up a while back. It's good stuff. Really nice shave. Everything went pretty smooth except for that one spot, like I said, but it doesn't turn red or anything, so maybe it'll go away here pretty soon. Hope everybody's doing well. Stay healthy, stay safe, and smooth shaves to you.